All right, down here at the bottom right, our Terran player on the team Slayers. He recently slayed jookTo in the first game. He is known by
Slayer Studio.
Looks like he's using a Razer mouse and a Razer mouse pad. Razer helps out with the GSL as well. I've got a Razer mouse. Here's his opponent. Didn't look too strong last game. He is
jookTo.
Now remember guys, I talked about it every other game I've talked about when I've cast jookTo. He is not in Code A anymore. And he has just had some kind of sloppy results. And it's very, very difficult to get into Code A. Like, there are players who are in Code B trying to qualify for Code A who are better than most. I'm going to go all the way and say better than most of the players in Code S. There are some players out there like that. And he has to take them out to be able to get into Code A. So this may be one of the last times you guys see jookTo if he doesn't close the series out. So if you're a jookTo fan, you really want to be rooting for him here today, because if he loses this one, it's not going to be like Ryung where most likely he can just kind of pop back in. Or not be like MMA where he's definitely got his spot secured. I'm not saying that like if jookTo loses here, OGS is going to like kick him out of the team. You're never going to see him in the team league again or anything like that. But he's not like some of these other players who have a lot of results and who are in Code S, who just kind of have their spots saved for them. So even if they don't do well in this particular tournament, it doesn't really affect their spots. jookTo, this is like his, he's trying to get his honor back. He's trying to win this tournament. Looks like it is going to be a gasless expand for Ryung. Does go in there and scout the very fast hatcheries. Hatch first for jookTo. Belcher Beach is a map with multiple entrances to the natural, and a lot of time that comes into play because in this matchup you've got speedlings, you've got Hellions, you've got the timing attacks, and those two entrances really are important. So we're probably going to see that come into play here in a little bit. As you can see, there are gold bases in the middle of the map. They're blocked by destructible rocks. For those of you guys who don't know this map very well, very risky to take, very difficult to take. But if you've got the map control, you can take them. In the middle of the map, there are a few pathways. There's this huge clump of trees, though, in the middle of the map you kind of have to avoid. So, similarly to some maps like Zelda Caverns, there's kind of like there's two paths to take. And this is actually just, this is a little attack by Ryung that's a nice pressure move. He's forcing a spine crawl. He's just got these SCVs over here. It's kind of a fake out. I think what he's trying to force jookTo to think is, okay, maybe you've got a second barracks hidden somewhere. jookTo realizes what's up though. He's like, oh, I don't need the spine crawler. You're just messing with me. You're just teasing me. I'm okay. I'm fine. He made a few extra Zerglings just in case, which is going to hurt his drone count a little bit. And of course that spine core was like 25 lost minerals. No big deal. But all of those things do add up. Saves the Marine, as you can see. Marine running all the way home. So I like when Terrans do that. There's really no disadvantage to doing that. You lose a little bit of mining time on one extra SCV, but you scare your opponent to death. Sometimes we've seen Zerg players like pull all their drones and just freak out completely because they're not entirely sure what's going on. So the gases are up for Ryung. He's probably going to add a factory here pretty soon. In fact, there it goes. Making that factory on the high ground over there. We've seen actually Zerg sneak in on this map when the factory and the racks try to switch their add-ons. Ooh, that Marine's pretty brave. He's like, you spawned me on the outside. I like that. From the moment I was born, I wanted to live my life dangerously. jookTo making that Baneling nest, it's kind of like his trademark. He really likes to make that Baneling nest early on because it's a really cheap structure. It's 100 minerals and 50 gas for that little Baneling nest. You don't even have to use it if you don't want to, but if it becomes necessary, you see an opportunity, you can use it, go for it. So, jookTo, he's getting his drones up. He's really not making any more Zerglings. He made those first initial 6 Zerglings. You normally see just 4 to get that spawning pool up. So he made 6 just because he was a little bit nervous about that possible attack. His speed is done, so he's going to have those Zerglings running around the map. But not really going to be able to do anything with them right now. Does lose one of those Zerglings. 26 drones out for jookTo to 24 SCVs. Now I'm kind of trying to figure out here what jookTo's next move is going to be. He knows everything his opponent's doing. He even saw that reactor on the factory, I believe. Check that. Yeah, he knows about it. He knows what's going on. So how is he going to react to this? Well, right now he's actually just going to take a fast third. Now remember, when Hellions come out, you've got to be very careful with how you deal with them. There are several different options you can deal with Hellions. You can deal with them with roaches, you can deal with them with queens and spine crawlers, or if you're really brave and you're really confident, you can try to do it with just queens. And so far, jookTo looks like he wants to take option 3. He's going to try to do it with just queens. There are 2 entrances to the natural, so those Hellions are going to be quite fierce there. And Ryung has actually kept that add-on on the factory, so he's making Hellions out of that factory still. Hasn't switched it to make siege tanks just yet, so there are going to be a lot of Hellions out. And sometimes players make just 2 Hellions and then they switch add-ons and they don't really use them. Maybe that's what jookTo is thinking is going to happen here. Did make a lot of Speedlings, but Hellions just do so well against Speedlings. He is going to make that Roach Warren now. And most likely with that Roach Warren, he's just going to make a few Roaches, get those out, maybe 3 or 4, and defend with those. And if you do that, you should be fine. But I like that he waited to see if the Hellions were really going to be something that Ryung kind of used extensively before he made the Roach Warren, because you don't often see Zerg players making a Roach Warren. They don't have that much of a role in this matchup. Sometimes they do in certain situations, but usually you don't see Roaches all that much. There's that Viking again for Ryung, trying to find the Overlords and kill them. And now right now, as far as the minimap goes, I'm sure you guys can see part of it. jookTo and Ryung are both kind of split map. There's no creep on Ryung's side, there's no Overlords, there's no Zergling, so Ryung he can do whatever he wants, and jookTo's not really going to know about it. He's still got that Viking to check for Overlords. He's got those Hellions in the middle of the map, so he's got a sense of map control, whereas right now jookTo has to play a little bit, he's got to play a little bit scared. I say scared because he doesn't really know what's going on. He doesn't know, has the add-on been switched? Oh, I like this. We're actually going to see a little bit of a Hellion drop here. And those are not pre-igniter Hellions, they're just regular Hellions. But they can still do a lot of damage if you've got 4 of them. And here they come. And look at this, smartly, jookTo already has all his drones pulled. He's going to maybe kill some spawning drones. Remember though, these Hellions do not have blue flame, so it takes a little bit more shots. 1 Hellion does fall, thanks to those Roaches. Just makes the 5 Roaches, that's all you really need. You don't really need to make that many more. He's making a few more. He wants to maybe mix them into his army a little bit. Roaches can be good for finishing off Marines. With the medevacs heal so quickly, you have those strong Roaches to kind of finish them off. This Viking going to find some Overlords over here, and without a Spire, jookTo is most likely going to lose several of those Overlords because he doesn't really have anything to defend it with. If he tries to move his Queen all the way over there, it's just going to take forever. Viking just kill the Overlord and then leave. In fact, the Queen is going to try to come over there and chase. Takes her forever, though. And does take out 2 of those. Viking up to 3 Overlord kills. Gotten some invaluable scouting information. Alright, so right now, Ryung is moving out. He did scout that 3rd base. He may be trying to move forward and take it out. He doesn't, I don't think, have a large enough army to do that right now, though. So he's got to be very careful about how he proceeds. If he loses that army, he's going to be significantly behind. He wants to get that hatchery. Another Overlord will fall. Looks like the Viking may as well. Oh! Saves that Overlord. 1 more shot would have done it. Overlord goes home, though. Alright, so now Ryung, I think, has a sizable enough army. He's even bringing some SCVs with this push to repair. I like this choice. He's going to move over here. Now, what he wants to do, there aren't that many Spine Crawlers. He may just want to siege up, dart in, and snipe the hatchery with his Marines. Have the siege tanks in range of the hatchery. Not really move them that far forward. Just snipe the hatchery, then pull back. But jookTo sees this coming. He's getting prepared. He's making a lot of Banelings. Baneling speed is going to finish in time for this attack. So it looks like he is just going to do, as I said, and try to attack it with the Marines, then pull back to the siege tanks. A very common and good strategy to use. Does pull those Marines back. Takes out the Queen. A few mutas have spawned. In fact, he's made 6 of them. Now he's going to try to attack here. Looks like he's going to flank. Bring some of these Roaches and mutas to the back. Maybe attack at the front with some Zerglings and Banelings as well. Smartly using one of those SCVs to make a bunker is Ryung. Ryung actually going to do a Marine drop in the main during all of this while all the forces are a little bit preoccupied. Here he comes, attacking from 2 sides. And it looks like this is going to be cleaned up pretty easily. And here comes the drop, but like I said, that drop, or that initial attack cleaned up completely easily. And this drop going to do a little bit of damage. He may want to target down the Spire as the drones flee. Does take out a few of those. It looks like he is going to... he's going to actually take out the spawning pool. The spawning pool actually has more hit points than the Spire. Oh, look at that Marine placement. Those Zerglings can't even surround. He's going to get that Spire. And the dropship will fall. Small victory. Got a few drones there. Got the spawning pool, but the hatchery lived. Didn't even get a scratch on her. And jookTo, with a 20 supply lead, is also now going to take the 2 o'clock expansion. You know, he knows he doesn't have enough map presence just yet. He doesn't have an army large enough to take the gold base, but he's going to expand again. And the Terran army is moving out again to try to attack that 3rd base location again, and something has tipped him off. He feels like there may be a hatchery there, so he's going to check for it, and he sees it. Going to force him to cancel that hatchery. There's no way Ryung can hold this, or jookTo rather. So bad with my names today. Here come the Mutas to do a little bit of harassment. This may be enough to slow down Ryung's attack, and it will. Ryung is turning around. I like this. And actually, jookTo positioning his army, moving down to actually supplement those Mutas. They may actually want to engage while Ryung's army is kind of split up and in several places here, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, this is when these roaches are really going to come into play. He may be able to clean up a lot of these Marines. Even though the medevacs are out, the roaches just do so much damage. It looks like he is going to decide to pull back, though. Realizing there are too many siege tanks. That little drop could kill a lot of drones, but there are spine crawlers there. And you may want to just pick up and leave. This isn't really going to do a whole lot. I mean, it's not really worth it to lose some Marines just to kill a spine crawler. He's going to lose all of his Marines and the dropship as well, just taking out a spine crawler. May get a Muta. Nope. Just got 1 Muta, I think. Now, Ryung is just now moving his command center over to take that 3rd base. So he's pretty behind in expansions. He's pretty behind in expansions by 1 expansion, but remember, when I say that, I don't mean that like, oh, it's 3 bases to 2 for a while, so he's really behind in expansions. It's the lost mining time of your opponent having that expansion up for longer. That's a lot of money he has that you're not going to be able to, you're never going to be able to get that money back. You're going to catch up in money someday, but he's had that money faster than you, so he's been able to make use of it faster, and you've lost all this time and all this money. It's like an opportunity cost, and I talk about that a lot, and I probably shouldn't because I know a lot of you gamers out there. I talk about opportunity cost, you're like, why is he using all these weird technical terms? Well, here comes an attack. But if you watch my cast enough, you'll start to get an appreciation for minerals and time really are important in StarCraft. You can't just think about how much minerals there are, because if you think about it that way, you know, a mule's not that important because you're going to get the minerals eventually anyways. No, time and minerals together are important. Not only in StarCraft, but in real life. The faster you have money, the more important it is because you can use that to invest and get more money in the long run and also build more forces. Or if you're a rich guy, buy more expensive things. Nice little Baneling landmine there. I like that positioning. Now, he actually is going to try to bait maybe those Marines into the Baneling landmines with these Mutas. But he's got his Mutas in a tough spot here. Don't really have anywhere to run. They're going to actually run. Well, they could have run if they wanted to the base. I like this dropship play by Ryung. But I have to say, once the Mutas come out, it's a cool thing to do drops. Sometimes you can get lucky with them sniper structure. But if you're going to try to kill drones and the Mutas are out, it's just not going to work. Sees those Banelings, does snipe and kill them with those Marines. Nice choice of scan. I think one day Ravens will become more important as Zergs decide that that is a thing that all of them can do. Not enough Zergs burrow their Banelings. You really don't. It's becoming more and more common. You just don't see it that often, though. This force for Ryung is pretty strong. He's got a pretty sizable army. The armies are pretty similar, even though jookTo has 30 more supply. A lot of that is in drones. Looks like jookTo may want to actually avoid this army, maybe go for a counterattack. He's going to lose that hatchery. But while those forces are attacking the hatchery, he wants to get his forces ready over here. He's got that infestor out. There's a sensor tower to spot for this, though. He gets that sensor tower up just in time to see it. He's going to lose this hatchery as well. And Ryung is being a little bit more successful with his attacks. And again, jookTo is making a greater spire, I think maybe a little too soon. He's just on those 3 bases. It's 3 base against 3 base. And when your opponent has the same amount of mining capacity as you and he keeps shutting down your bases, you might not want to tech until you've got that 4th base up. That fast greater spire is a little bit risky. Right now for upgrades for you guys, I'll give you guys some numbers on that. Ryung has +1 attack on his factory units, on his mech units. He's got 2 upgrades on his infantry. He's got +2 almost done for his tanks. So finishing up. +2 Carapace on the way for jookTo. You know, he's got that +1 already. He's got +1 for melee. Trying to get +2 as well. These drops for Ryung have been kind of interesting. They haven't really done a lot of damage, but I think they're kind of damaging in the sense that jookTo mentally, I think, has been kind of they've kind of thrown him off a little bit. His army's been in all sorts of weird places. He's trying to control the map, but as it stands, he's just kind of putting his army in weird places. He's not really controlling the map with it. And, you know, he's going to lose another base. Now he's just down to one mining base, essentially, as his main is pretty much mined out. He's going to counterattack here, but with the planetary at the third, not really going to be able to kill that. The mutas are going to clean up a lot, but if Ryung comes home, which he is doing, oh, he's going to try to target down the planetary. He does get it. Nice usage of those banelings, but as those banelings fall, if Ryung tries to go for an attack and just end the game, he has enough units to do it now. And I mean, right now, 3,000 minerals in the bank for jookTo. He's trying to get those units out. He's trying to make those broodlords. He's spent a lot of gas on those broodlords, so now he's got 52 Zerlings in production. He just doesn't know what else to buy with all the money he has. And this harassment is nice, but with how few or with how many minerals he has, losing a bunch of drones isn't really going to hurt jookTo that much. He's got 3,000 minerals in the bank, but only 300 gas. Now these broodlords coming into play here a little bit. Nice positioning of those broodlords. If you've got your broodlords doing stuff like that, that's pretty helpful. And actually, jookTo going to catch a lot of this army. There aren't that many Marines left, so once these Marines fall to the Roaches, the broodlords will be able to help out as well as the mutas. As you can see, those broodlords starting to come in here. So I thought jookTo was really in trouble there, but actually Ryung didn't have as many Marines as I thought. And he's losing a lot of them here, one by one, and every Marine lost is pretty huge. As far as mining goes, Ryung has that one mining base that is natural. He's long distance mining from his third base. jookTo, on the other hand, has basically a mining base and a half. He remade the base of the 2 o'clock expansion. He's trying to get that 1 o'clock expansion back up and running. These broodlords just doing so much damage. He's just catching SCVs where he can. The broodlings, of course, just being annoying afterwards. But the Vikings are out. He doesn't really have enough units to support those broodlords because the infantry is here as well. And it looks like those Vikings will fall, though. But now, here come the Marines. Oh, he wants to snipe those broodlords. Nice control by jookTo, keeping those broodlords in a really good spot where the Marines can't run forward and snipe them. And actually, it's looking pretty good for jookTo here because he was able to snipe that third base. I thought he wasn't going to be able to get it, and since he did, things really swung in his favor here. Ryung can't really afford to do any more harassment on those other bases. And again, like I said, he's like the whack-a-mole Zerg. He's like San. If you kill him one place, he'll pop up somewhere else. He's about to be on basically 3 mining bases. Right now, he's got that 1 mining base in his natural, whereas Ryung, he's got like a natural mining base that's almost mined out. He doesn't have a whole lot. He's got a lot of SCVs. Both players having a similar worker count. Just not having that command center over there to mine from, though, is really going to hurt him. And smartly, I like this choice. A lot of Terrans are starting to do this when they get behind. Just lift a command center and take the gold. You know you're behind, you know you're losing a lot of mining time. Instead of just trying to retake what you already had and lost, take the gold base and make up for a lot of lost time. Right now, supply lies 164 for jookTo to 122 for Ryung. And Ryung just keeps killing these bases of jookTo over and over and over again. And eventually, jookTo may run out of funds, but right now, he's got like a trust fund to his name with 1,700 minerals in the bank. And these Vikings barely get away. That was a close call there. Forces a stem on those Marines, though. There's only 1 broodlord left right now for jookTo. And I think he realizes he just doesn't have the gas to really support him anymore. Well, as I say that, he starts making another one. I think he should just try to solidify his lead a little bit more, spend that gas on banelings, be a little bit more aggressive, control the map better, because those broodlords are kind of helpful. They're kind of nice to have peppered in there, but they're not saving his bases. And he's going to keep losing them. Looks like this time he will have enough speedlings to come back and defend. Does defend that. And the 1 muta, well actually 2 more joining it. 3 muta is going to clean up that dropship eventually. Whoa, you can drop back there? That's crazy. I didn't even know that. That was pretty cool. I like that. Learn new things every day. Look at that broodlord. That was the broodlord he just made. Ended up being completely useless. But right now, as far as income goes, I'll open up the income tab. Pretty similar, but a lot of that comes from the mules at the gold base. As that gold base mines out, jookTo is going to have a much longer economy. You know, his economy is going to be there for a while as long as he can keep those hatcheries up. This is a pretty tense and close game. jookTo doing a lot of damage to those Vikings. I like this choice. He knows the opponent doesn't have that many mutas, and if you've got a decent amount of Marines and mutas are out, you can use both of them. Vikings are a nice supplement. Hold that thought, though, because here comes the banelings! and they are going to run through here. Fester's bungling everything, and a lot of those SCVs going down. It looks like he is going to lose this base. In fact, that may have been, yeah, that's the second to last command center. Ryung only has one command center left, although during all of this, he was able to bring those Marines back from the corner of the map. Gonna try to take out this hatchery, but there are so many units out for jookTo. I don't think he can hold the counterattack. Even infested Terrans being dropped here. And it looks like jookTo is gonna come back and defend, clean up those last Marines. Right now, supply-wise, 150 to just 35, and basically, what that game came down to is Ryung, he had a pretty strong army, but the Broodlords, I said they were too early, but jookTo used them right, picked off all the Marines, and that's it, man. Ryung, GG's, and we're going to go into a third game. jookTo showing that that drink that he's got there is just as good as Pocari Sweat. Look how fast he tilted that up with his little index finger. Ryung actually looking very upset about that last game, so it's okay though. He's not out of this yet. We're gonna have a game 3. jookTo playing exceedingly well, taking a risk with those Broodlords again, just continuing to make hatcheries all over the map, where he always had an economy, whereas his opponent did not. And eventually, you get worn out. You can't mine off of your natural forever. You can max out off of it, but as you lose units, you can't replace them very quickly if you just don't have a good economy. And Ryung not looking very happy with himself. The Wind very pleased with jookTo though, coming in here telling him, all right, I think he's probably most likely telling him, stick with that style, it worked well for you, you keep doing that. And we're going to see game 3. The map is going to be Crevasse. So that's the map you guys are going to see here in just a minute. But I got to say, jookTo in that game, he played a little sloppy, but was able to come out in the end because his macro was just better. Ryung, he was constantly trying to be out on the map, but Belcher Beach is a map where there's always an alternate entrance. There's always another path. So Ryung's like over here, he wants to kill hatchery, sends his entire army, or like tries to leave a little bit back at home, and then jookTo's all over the map. He's got his units kind of spreading out, going through, taking the alternate path. So Ryung's units are kind of going forward, and jookTo just avoids it, loses a hatchery, but makes another one somewhere else, and just counterattacks, keeps his opponent's economy low. There's a shot of the man himself, getting some more advice from the Wind. I wish I could hear what they were saying, but obviously I don't know, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to translate it very well for you guys. Ryung looking a little bit disappointed, but he is not out of this yet. And I think he'll probably show us a really good game 3. I can't even, I'm trying to make a prediction myself as to who will take this third game, but I can't do it because these guys are so closely matched. Some Slayers players over there. It's actually, as far as I know, that's Slayers Men. I'm trying to like look without looking. I'm looking at my preview screen. Slayers Men playing later on today against the best. But let's not talk about that right now. You heard me say his name. He's looking over at me. Let's not talk about that now. Let's talk about Ryung versus jookTo. The countdown hasn't started yet, so I think these players just getting ready, getting psyched up, because it's been a tense series. I don't blame them for not being quite ready yet, because that was a tense game. It was a long game, and both players could kind of clear their minds. If you guys don't have a lot of LAN experience, it's very different than laddering, where if you ladder, you lose a game, you're just like, you just immediately just go, press find match again, and just go again, because if you lose a few points, it's not that important to you. But you're about to go into a game 3 in the round of 16. You want to make it to the round of 8. It's rough. Gotta calm your nerves. Both of these guys trying to calm it. Man, I'm telling you, Ryung looks like he's about to cry. But he shouldn't be so down on himself because he played well in game 1. He played well in game 2. jookTo just outclassed him a little bit. The countdown has started. Who's going to take this ace match? Will it be Ryung or will it be jookTo? Who's going to advance to the round of 8? This is pretty big. This is huge. And the map is Crevasse. We're going to probably see a long game here. Who's going to come out on top, show their macro skills, show their control, their map control? Let's find out here at the GSL Super Tournament.